Hello guys, myself Chaitali and you are watching Dear Coders. In this video, we will learn about adding the forms in the HTML web page. So let's begin. An HTML form is used to collect the user input. The user input is most often sent to a server for processing. So these are some of the HTML forms tags. So we will see all the tags while writing in the code. So we will try to add the HTML form. So we will go to the notepad to write the code. So form element is used to create the HTML form for user input. So we will see different form elements. So first we will try to create one form. So to create the form, it will start with the form tag and it should end with the form tag. So form tag is the main tag for creating the form elements. Then we have the input element. So input element is the one of the most commonly used form element. So it will be like input tag, and it is like it does not have the closing tag, so it is the empty tag, and it can be displayed the text can be displayed in the several ways depending on the type attribute. So first we will try to add the type equals to text tag, like text value. So there are different values that we will see in later. Then it will be having an ID. Let's say it is created for the name, and it will be having the name. So we will save this file and we will see how it is looking on the home page. So we will open this in the Google Chrome. So yeah, as you are able to see that the input text is created. So here you can enter any value. So this was the input element. It is used to take the input from the user. Then we have a second element called label. So it is the label tag. So it is the not empty tag, so we have to close it. Okay, this label is just to that mention that this label is created for this particular field. So let's say we will move this to the before the input tag. So we will remove it from here and we will try to add it here, and this label will have some value. So it will be like, let's say this label is for the first name. So this label is also have attribute called for. So it is used for the binding the label and the input. So whatever value we will be writing for the for, that will be equal to the ID attribute. So here we have fname as the ID attribute. So for value will be the same as the ID attribute. Right, just colon here. We will save the file and we will see how it is looking on the home page, like web page. So I have refreshed the page. So as you can see, this is the label created for the input field. So this input field is belonging to the label called first name. So here we can add the any text value. Then these were two tags. Now we have the select tag. So select element defines the drop down list. So it will start with the select tag and it will end with the select tag. So in the select tag, as it is the drop down list, so we will be having options. So for that we have the option at tag. So it will start with the option and it will end with the option. So now for the list, drop down list, we will be having, let's say, 3 values. One is 1, 2 and 3. So I will now save this, refresh the page. So as you can see, here we are getting the drop down list 1, 2, 3. So also in this we can set some values, like let's say how many values are displayed at the first. So for that we have, for the select tag, we have the size attribute. So if we add the size, let's say now we have the 3 items in the list, but we want to show 2, so it will be displayed. So currently it is displayed only one element and the other are coming in the drop down. So now I have changed this, I have added one attribute called size. So we will save the file and we will see how it is appearing on the web page. So if I refresh the page, as you are able to see, the size is increased to 2 and then it is coming like this, the layout is changing. So this was about the size attribute. And also if I remove this, and if you see, by default value is 1. So if we want to keep the let's say 2 as a selected, so for that, for this 2 option, like second option, we will add the selected attribute. So if I save this, and now if I go to the home page and refresh the page, so as you can see, this 2 is selected by default. Okay, so this was about the select element. Then we have the text area element. Not here, after the select we can add. So text area element defines the multi-line input field. So it is defined by the text area tag and it will be end by the text area tag. So this text area, I will show how it is displayed. So if I add some text to it, that will be displayed inside the text area. So if I save this and if I go to the web page and refresh the page, so as you can see, this text area is looking like this. So we can increase this also if we have a bigger text. Also, if I refresh the page, you are able to see that this text area is having some default height and width. So if you want to change that, we can do that. So for that we have the 2 attributes. One is the row. So one is the rows. So we will add the 5 rows, and then we have the calls. We will add like 20, value 20. If I save the page, we will put that, get that text area on the new line. So I am adding the br tag so that it should come on to the new line. So I will refresh my page. So as you can see, this text area width and height is changed. So these are the 5 rows and these are the 20 columns. So if I increase the columns to the 50, the width will change. Yeah, so width of this area has been changed. This was about the text area. Then we have the button tag. So again I will add the break tag so that it will come on to the new line. So button tag is defined by the button element and it will be closed by the button. So this button, what should be displayed in the button? that text should be added here. So for now I will just add click me. Okay, so if I save this and if I refresh the page, you will able to see that this button is added. So we can also add the event on that button click. So for that also here we can mention that it is the button type of the button. There is also type as submit. So and also we can add the on click functionality to it. So this is just a method, and when like we will add one alert so that we will get one alert on the web page. So alert will be hello. If I save this, now if I go to the web page and refresh it, so when we click on this button, the alert will be displayed onto the web page. So as you can see, this alert has been pop up. So this was about the button. So we can do whatever we want on the click of the button. Then we have the data list element. So data list element specifies the list of predefined options for the input element. So like the select tag we have seen, this is similar to this but not exactly the same. So we will see how it looks like. So for that we will try to add the data list element. So for that we have the input element. Okay, sorry, we have the input element and this input will be of the type list. So we will add the list. So for this list attribute we have to give some value for this list. So I will add the list val, and now this list value which we have added for this list attribute, that should be used in the data list tag. So we will now add the data list tag. So it will start with the data list and it will end with the data list. Now inside this data list, similar to the select, we have the options for this data list. Okay, and let's say I will add one more option called 4. But this selected will not come here. So we have the option, and for this we are not having the similar than whatever we have used in the select. So here we are having option as a empty tag, and here we have the value. So whatever value we want to provide, that we have to provide inside this value. We copy this and we'll do these changes for the other tags. The last one, and I will change this values 2, 3 and 4. So whatever list attribute value we have used, that we have to use inside this data list as the ID. Okay, so I will save this and we will see how it looks on the web page. So I have refreshed. So as you can see, for this select element, we were able to see the options in like on the that select element, and we have the drop down. But for this data list element, we have this in like the same UI as the we have added for this input text. but when we hover on it, we will be able to see one drop down. So if we click on it, it will be having values that we have defined in the data list. So this is the difference between the select and the data list tag. So this was about the data list tag, and now we have the field set tag and the legend tags. So the field set element is used to group the related data in the form. So let's say we have this particular elements, like a particular fields that we want to group together, so that we can do using the field set element. And for that particular field set, we can add the caption for that field set element using the legend tag. So first I will regroup this form. So first name is this, then we have the input, then we have the drop down. So for this I will add the break tag, so it should come on to the new line. Then we have the text area, then button, and then after button again I will add one br tag, so that the data list will come on to the new line. So let's say this particular all form fields we have to group together. So for that we can add the field set element. So that should be added before the form element is, like form first element is started. So below this form we will have the field set element. Here we will start this, and this should be ended just before the form is ending. So here the form is ending, so that will be closed here. And then we have to give the heading to this field set, we have the legend. So after this field set tag, we have the legend tag. So this will be closed here itself, and it, like, we will just give the description to this field set element. So whatever caption you have to provide, just you can provide. So I will just write information and I will save this. So when we see this on the web page, so if I refresh the page, so this particular data is grouped together. So they have added just one border, and whatever caption we have added in this legend tag, that is displayed for this table caption, form caption. So this was about the field set elements and the legend elements. So if in our web page we have some particular form that needs to be bordered, so we can add this field set tag. So there it can be helpful. So this was about the form elements. Now next we will see about the input types. What all, like when we are using this input element, what are the types, input types. Like here we have added the type as the text. So what all possible values we can add for the input tag, that we will see further. Coming to the different values for the type attribute, first one is the text that we have already seen. So I will just add here the br tag to come that input on the new line. So this was the input with the value as the text for the type attribute. Just I will copy paste that. So it will be a normal text field. So if I save the page and go to the web page and refresh, so this is that input field with the type text. So here we can add any text that we want. We can add the numbers also. So then the second one is the input with the type email. So I will copy this, then here type will be of email, then id will be, we will add the id as email, and name will be email. So all will be email. Okay, so here I will save this file and we will go to the web page and refresh the page. So you will able to see here the input, like the with the type text and with the type email, your UI is the same. Like there are two boxes so that user can add the input. So what is the difference between this? So for showing the difference, here I will add one input field with the type submit. Okay, and here we will add the value for that input field as the submit. Okay, now we will save this and we will go to the web page and refresh. So here you will able to see we have the submit button. The difference with the normal text and the text with the type, sorry, input with the type email, is that here when you add the text, let's say I will add Chaitali only, and when we are going to submit this form, it will say that please include the @ in the email address. As we have added the type as the email, so that's why it is giving us the warning that this is the email field, you should add the email here. So similar to this email, we have one more. So with the type value as the password. So here I will add ID password. ID will be PWD and name will be also PWD. Okay, so with this type as password, here when you try to add some password, it will be the like showed by the black dots, so that this field should not be visible to other users when user is entering the password. So this is about the password. Then we have one input with the type as number. So here we will add that number. Then here we will just add the ID as rating. So we will be giving some rating and name also as rating. So when we save this, if I go to the home web page, if I refresh the page, you will able to see we have got one input field with the number type. So here you can change this number by arrow. Also you can type in the number. So here also for this type input where the type is number, we have more attributes called min and max. So min value is for the, like, that number should not go below this particular min value, and number should not go after particular max value. So for these purposes we are having the min and max. So if I save this and if you go to the web page and if you refresh the page, so you will able to see here we have the it will not go below the 1 because we have mentioned that minimum value should be of 1, and it will not go above the 6 value because we have added the maximum as 6. So these are the also here we can add the step attribute, so that it will be like this drop, the number will increase with the step value which we will provide. So let's say we will give step as 2. So we will able to see if we go okay, I haven't refreshed the page. If I refresh the page, we'll able to see when I will try to increase, it will directly automatically come as 2 because we have provided the step value as 2. Okay, here something I have missed. Step. Okay, here it is coming. So it is like let's when it is coming as 1, then it will come as directly 3 because we have added the step value as 2, then 5. So yeah, so this was about the step. Then we have one value called range. So again I will copy this, but here the type will be range. So for this range, like it will be the range provided by the user. So here also we will be having the minimum range and the maximum range. So id will be range rating. Let's say we will provide id as this, and name will be also the same. Now we will be providing the range minimum and maximum values. So for this we will be having mean attribute, we will provide 1, and we will be having the max attribute. So let's say this range should go till 10. So if I save this and if you go to the web page, so here you are able to see this range UI. So how it is looking on the web page. So here you can change this range, and that value will be submitted to the, like when we submit the form, that value will be gone for the processing the form. Then we have one input called reset, like type value will be the reset for that. So we will try to add that input, and here the type will be reset. So if I save this and we will go to the web page, if I refresh the page, this reset button got added. So if you are writing something here in the form, and let's say you want to clear this, so directly we can click on this reset, that all the values which we had entered in the form, that will be resetted. So then we have input with the value as the radio for the type attribute. So it is used to add the radio buttons. So I will just add here one BR tag to come this next fields onto the new line. So here we have the input of type radio. So radio buttons will be added. Then we will be having the ID, name and value attribute. So ID will be, let's say we will give the HTML, and name will provide as the language. So and we have the value for this. So for this value we will add the HTML5 for example. Now for this input we will be having like labels. So label is not the self-closing tag, so we have to close it. So inside this label we will add some labels for this radio button. Let's say first label is the HTML5. Then we have other 4 labels or other 3 labels. Let's say we will take 3 examples. This will be CSS. I am providing any value to this label, and third one is the Java. So whatever we will be adding, this should be added, that this input field should be added for this particular label. And here we will change the ID and the value attribute. So for this I will provide the ID as CSS, and for this we will provide the ID as the JavaScript. And name will be the same, then value will be different. So here I will add CSS3 and Here I will add the JavaScript. Now we have given the type as the radio and we have added the label. So label will have the for attribute for binding it to the input element. So this for attribute value to be equal to this ID of that particular input element. So for this I have added the HTML. Similar for the CSS we have to add the label for attribute, and for this JavaScript. So we will add the JavaScript. So we will save this and we will go to the web page and we will see how it is looking. So if I refresh the page, we will able to see we are getting this radio buttons. So similarly, like they are coming into the same line. So if we want them onto the new line, then we can add the BR tag wherever required. So I will copy this, paste this. I save this. Now if I refresh the page, you will able to see that we are able to see these radio buttons. Now similar to radio buttons, we have the checkbox field. So we will try to add that. So for that again we will be having the inputs and the label for that inputs. So I will just copy paste this code and I will add just BR tag to come this onto the new line, this checkbox, and we will paste the code. Here instead of this radio we will be having the type as the checkbox. So this checkbox value we will provide for all the checkboxes we want, and we will save this and we will refresh the page. So you will able to see we are able to see this checkbox. So you can check this checkbox whatever you want to check. So you can check multiple checkboxes, but in case of radio buttons only one can be selected. So this was about the checkbox and the radio buttons. Then we have input called type as button. So I think we have already seen, no, so we have seen input with the type as submit. So similar to this we have one input with the type as the button. So this button will look similar to the what we have created with the input type is equal to submit, but here we can add the on click functionality to it. So we will try to add the on click functionality, and again we will add the alert. So alert will be displayed. And what text should be shown inside this input, that will be given into the value attribute. So I will add click here. So we will save this and we will see how the input with the type button is looking onto the web page. So we will refresh the page. So we will able to see that this is looking similar to the all the buttons we have created with the different ways. So when we click on this, we have added the on click method, so it will be called when we are clicking on that button, and pop-up is displayed as we have added this alert. Then we have the input with the type value as the date. So we will try to add that. Again we will be having the input and it will be the empty tag, like self closing tag. So for this we have a type as the date, and again we have the ID and the name. So we will write as ID as the current time and the name also equals to the seed time, which is the current time. So if I save this page, and we will see on the web page how it looks. So it is looking like the calendar, like we are able to get the calendar when we click on that. So this was about the date, and similar to date we have the time. Sorry, here I have added the time, it was the date. Now we will try to add the time. So here we have the type value called time. So add the id as the c time and the name as the c time. So we will save this, and we will see how it is looking on the web page. So if I refresh the page, we will able to see we are getting the clock. So for time we are getting the clock, and for date we are getting the calendar. Then we have input with the type value as the file. So with that we can able to choose any file if we want. So here this will be the type will be the file. So will we give the id as the file name and the name as the file name. So if I save this, if we go to the web page, refresh the page, so you will able to see we are getting one button by default when we are adding this input with the type called field file. So here if we click on this, it will open the that folders, and according to this folders we can go to the particular folders and we can choose the file which we want to select. Then we have one input called with the type as the hidden. So basically that the one which input we are adding with the type hidden, that will not be displayed onto the web page. So if there is some information that we don't want to show it to the web page, then we can add this inside the hidden field. So we will add the input id as the hidden id, and the name equals to same hidden id. So if I save this, so after this file which we have here, we will not able to see any element, but there will be the element with the hidden. So if I refresh the page, you will able to see there is no element after this choose file. So that element is the hidden element. And the last one is the input with the type attribute value as the search. So if I try to add that input, we will copy this. Here the type will be of search. So we will give the word search, and name also will be word search. So if I save this and we will go to the web page and refresh the page, you will able to see that this field is added similar to the input with the type text, but the difference is when we are clicking on this first name and if we try to add, so this is not the with the type as search, but if we go to this particular and if we try to enter something, we are directly getting this close icon. So basically this is the search, the input with the type as the search. Then yeah, so this was about the all input types with the values, like these are the values which are possible for all the input elements. So accordingly, if we want to add the checkbox in the form, so we can add the input with the checkbox. So what according to the requirement, we can add this input elements with the type attributes. So then we have the input attributes also. So we will see that now. Coming to the different attributes for the input element. So we have already seen some of the different attributes. So there are few more attributes that we will see now. So we will add just br tag so that the new element which we are adding, that should come onto the new line. So I will just copy paste this input code and we will try to add it here. So the one of the new attribute for the input element is the value attribute. So we will try to add that. So this value attribute will be the initial value for the input field. So if we save this file and we will go to the web page and refresh the page, so you will able to see that initial value for this input field is displayed here. So this is about the value attribute. Then we have the read only attribute and the disabled attribute. So if we try to add that here, so we will copy paste this code. Only here we have to add just required attribute, read only attribute. So if we save this and we will go to the web page, refresh the page, so we'll able to see that you are able to see this both as the same, but the difference is here you can edit this. So here you can remove that and you can add any text, but for this we cannot do editing. So I'm trying to press the backspace, but it is not getting removed as we have added the read only attribute. So it is only for the reading. Then we have the disabled attribute. So similar to, I will just copy paste this. So similar here we have to add the disabled attribute. So this field will be disabled. I think spelling mistake. Yeah. So if I save this and if we go to the web page, we refresh the page, we're able to see that field is grayed out. So that means it is the disabled field. So it specifies that input field should be disabled and will not be, this input field value will not be sent when we are submitting the form. But for the read only, this value will be sent to the server while submitting the form. Then we have the size attribute which specifies the width in the characters for the input field. So we will try to add that. So again we will copy paste this code and we will try to add the new attribute called size. So let's say this we will provide 60. So we will see what is the difference with the size attribute. So as you are able to see, this input field length was the default, this is the default one, but when we provide the size attribute, then that length will be bigger. So it is changed. So we can change accordingly. If I keep it 30, so then this length will be reduced to 30. So this was about the size attribute. Then min and max attribute we have already seen. So here you can see this min and max attribute for this number input with the type as the number. Then multiple, we have the attribute called multiple. Multiple attribute specifies that user is allowed to enter more than one value in the input field. So this is for the email and the file type. So we will try to add that. So input. So for the type we will try to add. So here we will add the type equals to file. Then we will be having the ID, file name 1. Then we have the name attribute, which is also file name 1. And then as we have to add the multiple attribute. So this is the new attribute called multiple. So we will save this, and if we go to the web page. We will try to refresh the page. So you will able to see that whatever we have added for the file, we are able to see the same UI. But when we click on this, so in this you will able to select the more files. But if you see for this particular first file which we have inserted, for this you cannot select the more than multiple files. So this selecting the more than multiple files is done using the pressing the control button on the keyboard and selecting the files. But when I am doing that, here it is not happening because multiple attribute was not added to the earlier input with the type as file. So this was about the multiple attribute. Then we have the placeholder attribute. So we will try to add that. So for that we will copy this input with the type text, and we will, instead of this value, we will add the placeholder attribute, and we will provide the value as please enter name. So this placeholder will be displayed in the that text box as the placeholder. So here we can update this, like it is just for the user that what he has to enter there. So then we have the required attribute. So if that field needs to be required for particular form, so then we can add the required attribute. So I will copy this and we will paste this, and we'll remove this value attribute, and instead I will add the required. So if we save this and we will go to the web page and we will refresh the page, this new input with the type text got added, but we are not able to see any difference. But when we try to submit the form, you will able to see one alert that please fill out this field. That means this field is required to be filled. So without entering any data here, we cannot submit the form. So that means this field will not be empty, should not be empty. Something should be entered here so that the form will be submittable. So this was about the required attribute. And we have one attribute called autocomplete. So when we set that autocomplete, so if we are entering some value here, and first time we are submitting the form, then again we come here, then it will provide the auto suggestions. So this is because of this autocomplete attribute. Then we have the autofocus also. So we will try to add here only auto focus. So if we save this, so when we refresh the page, when we refresh the page, that particular field is auto focused. So if we are adding the autofocus, let's say now we will add this autofocus to the this input. So if we paste this and save this, if we refresh the page, so we will see this autofocus is changed to this particular first input. So in the code, it will go on from the top, and it will see the autofocus is applied to what, and then it will accordingly, when we refresh the page or we are landing on the page, that particular field will be autofocused. Then we have the autocomplete attribute which we have seen. But if we don't want this autocomplete to be happen, so then we can add this autocomplete as the off. So if I save this, so as we have seen here we are getting this autocomplete suggestions. But now if I have made the autocomplete as off, now we will refresh the page, and here if I am going, I am not able to see that autocomplete options. So this was about the input attributes. Now we will see, then after this we will see the form attributes. Coming to the form attributes, first we have the action attribute. So these attributes are the form attributes, so that will be defined in the form tag. So the action attribute defines the action to be performed when the form is submitted. Usually the form data is sent to the file on the server. So the action attribute will be defined like action equals to whatever action we have to perform. So I will add just some action. So as we don't have any page, so if we have the page, that we can mention here. So if we are omitting this action attribute, then the action is set to the current page. Then we have the target attribute. So target attribute specifies where to display the response that is received after submitting the form. So like you can either set that response to be displayed onto the same page, or it can be the in the new tab. So when we are writing it as the underscore blank, it will be in the new tab. So this is same as we have seen the anchor tag target attribute. Then we have the method attribute. So method attribute is defined by the method, and it has the two values called get and post. So these are the HTTP methods to be used when submitting the form data. So the default is the get value if we are not mentioning anything, like if we are not providing this method attribute in the form element, then it will be by default the get, and we can also provide the post value for this method. Then we have the autocomplete attribute. Similar to this input element we have seen, this autocomplete attribute will be applied for the all fields in the particular form. So like this all fields will be considering this autocomplete attribute. So here we can set the value as either on or off according to our need. And the last is the no validate attribute. So no validate attribute specifies that the form data like input should not be validated when submitted. So that will be defined by the no validate. So if we save this, we will not refresh. So when we are trying to submit this, you will able to see not this. So here when we are trying to submit this, it is going to the some action page, but we don't have this page. That's why we are landing that this your file could not be accessed. But if we have the backend like server file on the server, then we can submit the form data there. So this was about the form attributes. So instead of adding it to the form attributes like form element, we can add the same attributes to the input element, but the attributes are different. So I will just remove this. Oh, okay, we will keep this, but we will try to add this to the input element. So for the input element, where we have the input as the submit. So input with the type submit. So we will search that submit. So here we have that input type equals to submit. So for this we can add those particular attributes. So similar like action is the same. So action will be the same attribute. I will add just some action. Then target is also the same. We can directly add for the input. So similarly method also. And last I think we were having autocomplete and no validate. So we will add that also. and things auto complete and no validate. But as I have mentioned, these attributes will not be the same as the form attributes. These are the different attributes. So for the form like action, we will be having the form action attribute. Then target will be the form target. Then method will be the form method. And autocomplete will be the same, and the for the no validate only we are appending with the form. So similar to the form attributes, that same attributes can be added to the input element with the type submit, but the attribute names are the different, so we need to keep that in mind. And we can add here also the same attributes with the different attribute names. So this was about the form attributes. So like using this all the attributes and elements which we have seen in this particular video, using these elements we can add the form in the HTML page, so that we can take the user input and process the user input and show them the response. So this was about the HTML forms. We'll catch up in next video. If you like the video, please consider subscribing. Thank you.